Hello, niche website builders.
Hello, hello.
Happy Easter or happy belated Easter for anybody who celebrates it. How's things with you, Adam?
Not too bad. Nice long weekend here in the UK. So we had Friday and Monday off.
Indeed. You don't get that in the US, yeah.
I think it is one day off in the US, isn't it? Was it just Friday?
I think it's Friday. I don't think you get the Monday as well, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't really do much, to be honest. It was a very relaxing long weekend. When usually my wife's got plans for everything, so it's just nice to chill out, watch a bit of telly, play with Park around the house, and yeah, that's about it, really.
Something else happened over the weekend too. We had a new landmark.
Yeah.
2K on the subscription, so...
That looks like the 2K bug now, doesn't it? Is it the Millennium bug?
Yeah, the Millennium bug, yeah.
Throwback to the Millennium bug.
I'll talk about bugs. I'm not feeling very well today, so you might have to rescue me a few times. I'm not feeling on good form, that's for sure. So
no worries.
Apologies if I sound a bit rough, because that's because I am a bit rough today. So yeah, welcome everybody. Let's see who's here. So we've got some of the regulars as usual. Donning their merch, I hope. We've got Daniel, we've got Brian, we've got Bill, Birdie, Chris Miles, Benji's dad, Eleanor, Adrian, Michael, Leanne, and Ninjas. So welcome back, everyone. I'm Richard Wade. Just got in there for a mention. So yeah, thanks again for joining us, everyone. So we've got hopefully an interesting show for you today. If you are new around here, don't forget to like and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, 2K, the more likely we are to be showing up in the algorithm for other people to enjoy the show too. And hopefully the more people we get, the more engagement we get, and the more fun it makes it for everybody. That's what we found anyway. So if we get enough likes on today's video, if we get 35 or more likes, then we will have a merch giveaway at the end of the video, which will be like a niche website builders t-shirt or mug or cap. So they've been going down pretty well. We have got more to share. We should have another parcel coming soon for us, Adam.
Should be.
So
my mug, but then
demonstrate some more. Yeah. There you go. There's an example of a couple of mugs and people sipping from them.
By the way, Chris, I recorded an episode with Chris, Benji's dad, on Age Domains for his YouTube channel coming out in the next week or two. So yeah, head on over to Chris's channel and have a little look at that as well.
Awesome. If you are new around here, this is like one of 3 shows that we have each week. We have 3 live streams on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday. Tuesday show is always about age domains, so we cover a topic, and generally we do a teardown of a domain that's in our inventory available for sale on our website. On Wednesdays, we have the Niche Lifestyle Show, which rotates on Doug Cunnington's show, Alex Cooper from WP Eagle, and our channel. So we rotate it on the channel. This week, it is on Alex's channel, WP Eagle. So if you check out the description, you can go and subscribe to that there. And it's generally an hour earlier than this time now for that show. And then on Thursdays, we have the Website Investing Show, which is pretty similar to this, but we cover a topic and a Q&A, essentially, for any questions, anything related to website investing, essentially. So today's show, we are talking about restoring old pages from an age domain the right way. That's the first topic, and I say we're covering a domain in our inventory. We did have one lined up. If you'd seen the emails and the Facebook post that we put out earlier last week promoting this week's show, you'd have seen a different domain advertised, but it got sold over the weekend. So that is no more. So we've got a different domain for you, Coriander Queen, to share with you today. So we'll be sharing the details of that domain a little bit later in the show. But in the meantime, we can get started with restoring old domains, Adam. Restoring old pages. Well, I would say before we jump onto that, sorry to interrupt you straight away, but ask any questions you can. We do have somebody, Daniel Croft. So thanks, Daniel. He's sent us in a domain to review live on the stream. We've not even looked at it yet at all. I don't know about you, Adam, but I haven't looked at it.
Nope.
It literally will be live on the stream that we'll be taking a look at that domain and seeing what it looks like. Seeing if we would, use it ourselves for use with, building upon it, basically. So if you've got any other questions, feel free to ask throughout the show, and we'll get to them as and when they pop up.
Awesome.
Excellent.
So I do have, as usual, presentation ready. This is the thing now. This is like this is the new norm, having the presentation, right?
It
is. Cool. So yeah, as Mark mentioned, we're going to be talking about restoring old pages the right way, kind of when you should, when you shouldn't do them. And what we mean by this, well, this is kind of the agenda what we're going to cover today. There's one part in here which I've literally totally blanked my mind, so I'm going to add it to the end. And that's it's not something that we would probably recommend, but that's how you resurrect like the whole domain from Wayback to recreate the whole website as it was. But the main part that we're going to cover today are what are old pages on age domains. There's 3 different types essentially. URL structure, because that's important when you're thinking about what you're going to do with old pages or old posts, and then how you actually set up the redirect. So physically, like what you do, how do you set that up? So let's get into it. The first one is, what are old pages on old domains? And essentially, like in the most basicest term, it's what are the posts or pages that used to exist on the website in its previous life. That's essentially all we mean. It's what are the old pages, what are the old posts that used to be on the old website. There's nothing complicated about that. But when it comes time to using an age domain, there's 3 different types of pages or posts really that we're interested in. I'm interested in doing something with, and that's essentially pages or posts, and I'll just call them posts going forward. I put pages / posts, but I'll just call them posts for sake of kind of simplicity. Posts that have referring domains. So these are posts that have obviously links pointing directly to those individual posts from the past life. You've got posts that used to drive traffic. So, that is what it says in the tin. These posts used to drive traffic to the website, and they may or may not have referring domains pointing to them as well. And then posts then that may have never driven traffic and may not have any referring domains pointing to them, but they are hyper relevant to your new project, for example. And also we've got a little pro tip in here, because that can also help influence or help give you some ideas around keyword research in the topic as well. So on to the first one, pages and posts that have referring domains. So most age domains, the home page contains the highest number of referring domains. That's just natural, right? Like most websites, almost most of the time, the majority of links will be to the homepage. But over time, individual posts will also have attracted and gained links. Now, ideally, with an age domain, if it was a business, this would have been totally natural. They would have got these links natural. But however they acquired them, individual pieces of content will have referring domains pointing back to them. And ideally, you want to maintain those. You want to do something with them if possible, because they're important links, and you want to maintain that kind of content. Now, the way that we find this, or the way that we identify the posts that have the most referring domains, or the domains that we want to do something with, is by looking at AHREFs and then looking at best pages by link report. So down on the left-hand side of AHREFs is a little button which is underneath pages called best by links. And I've pulled out an example from one of the domains that's currently in our inventory, warningcurvesahead.com, which goes against this trend, which goes against the trend of most of the domains pointing to the homepage. We can see here, this report is ordered highest to lowest, referring domains highest to lowest. And the top page is 24 things women over 30 should wear, 156 links pointing back to that one piece of content back from 2016. And you think, okay, that's interesting. I definitely want to do something with that. like, I don't want to leave those 156 links go to waste. I need to do something with that. What do we do with it? Like, and why do we want to do with it? Apart from there being 156 referring domains, like, why would you want to keep them? So, well, again, I'll come on to that in a sec. So this is basically why you want to keep them. Like, if you look at the individual links built to this piece of content, there's some really good ones in here. So the really high DR. There's some stuff like, Buffy.ly, which you can kind of take out, but then there's other stuff in here like Paper Blog, Foodie Crush, Fitmas. There's lots of good referring domains in here that you would want to maintain and keep live. You wouldn't really want them to 404 essentially. So you have to, in this case, do something specifically with that page. And in this case, like this page clearly gained traction, and you have to kind of think initially when you vet in the domain, like, why did this page gain traction? Like, is there something special about this page? Was this on purpose? Did they do link building specifically to this page? Have they done anything dodgy, or did this piece of content simply, kind of go viral for some reason? And that's the reason why it's almost an anomaly. Why this one piece of content stands out above the rest and has the most referring domains. And in this case, that's pretty much what happened. And I'll share my screen and show you why I think that is. So I don't think you can see this. So I'll zoom in a little bit. So this is the page in Wayback, and the article was 24 things women over 30 should wear. And basically it says the lady who ran this blog said they were looking through Facebook and they happened to find an article that was entitled 24 things women should stop wearing after the age of 30. And they kind of took a little bit of offense to this. Basically, it said women over the age of 30 shouldn't be wearing leopard print or graphic T-shirts. So they decided to create their own piece of content, which is 24 things women over the age of 30 should wear. And when you scroll down, it basically says whatever the fuck they want. Like 24, 23 is whatever the fuck they want, and so on and so forth. And I think it picked up some press. I think this kind of piece of content went a little bit viral, hence why it's got a lot of links referring to it rather than to the homepage. And that this looks natural. Like this is not a bad thing, but you need to be aware of, you need to be doing something with that now. So what would we want to do with this one page? We definitely want to recreate this piece. We would use fresh content to maintain the relevancy. So our piece would literally be something like things women over 30 should wear. It'd probably be another listicle piece of content similar to the old kind of style. But we wouldn't want to copy word for word. I think you can run into some copyright issues. Even though the website is no longer live on the internet anymore, the old owner, the person who owned the website before still owns the copyright to all the old content. So you could run into some difficulty and some trouble if you took that content and just reposted it as is. So we'd want to recreate the piece using fresh content. And then, because it's essentially what we would class as a power post, you can almost think of this page as being like similar to an acquisition post when we talked about on our acquisition stream last week. It's really powerful. It's one of the strongest pieces of content on the website. We'd want to then internally link it through to all of the other new content we create to pass that power through. So you end up with a piece of content that's internally linked through to all of your other pieces of content. Just a quick note on the URL structure here, and we'll cover how to set up redirects later, but we wouldn't essentially keep this URL structure. It's broken down into kind of three different parts. So we've got the domain, which is warning curves ahead. Then we've got /, and then we've got the date, and then we've got / post title. So in this case, like the URL structure is important, and you basically wouldn't want to keep the same URL structure on your new site. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't want to have the date in there. And we'll come on a little bit later on how you can get around that, but just a little note there. So just skipping back just to this page here. This is an example of kind of like an almost like an anomaly, like an oversized one. But you'd want to do the same process where you go through and you have a little look what the old content was. Is it relevant to the new project you're going to make? Does it have referring domains? And if so, can you recreate it? And this list, sometimes the best page by incoming links can be quite long, depending on the project. You can have, 30, 40, 50 pieces of content in there that all have referring domains. And you've got to go through there manually and make a decision on is this link worth keeping? Does this post match the piece of content that I want to keep live on my new project? And if so, then can you recreate a piece of content that talks about the same topic, essentially? Now, there comes a point, I think, where there's diminishing returns for that. Our cutoff point essentially is 5 referring domains or more. So any piece of content that has 5 or more referring domains, we'll look at it and we'll manually check and do that kind of mental process. Can this piece be recreated? Do we want to keep the links? Is it a piece we can recreate? If it's not a piece that we can recreate, maybe it's a news article from 2016 that's only applicable in 2016. It could be, in this case, Easter shoes that were popular in 2016, for example. I don't know, something that's kind of like date specific. That's probably
I love my Easter shoes.
Yeah. But you can think outside the box then, because if it's still got referring domains you want to keep, maybe you're not going to create 30 Easter shoes from 2016, but you might create a piece of content that talks about Easter shoes in general, for example. So try and maintain the relevance, but where possible, you want to kind of, that piece of content you create, you should try and keep the relevance as close, or match the relevance as closely as possible. Anything to add on this type, Mark?
No, I think so. That all sounds good to me.
Cool. The next type that the next type of post that you want to have a little look at and kind of make a plan for are posts that used to drive traffic to the website. So again, most age domains, there are going to be some posts that used to get traffic and remain relevant to your new project. If it was a legitimate website that was getting traffic, more often than not, there's going to be some kind of content on there that you want to keep or you think is going to be relevant for your new project. So you can recreate them either on the same URL structure, and we've talked about URL structure in a bit more in a little bit, or on a new post, and you can try and revive the traffic. And to find out what these pages are, you need to go into AHREFs and then look at top pages report, essentially. Down the left again, top pages. And this is what it looks like. So this is an example from another website that we have in our inventory currently, 1millionskates.com. Obviously used to be about ice skating. And in here, we can see that in January 2016, so this is when this report is from, there were 223 pieces of content live on the website. But you can see this top one here was all about fun hockey facts, and it used to drive. I'm always wary of these traffic numbers from AHREFs, especially going back to kind of 2016 as well. I mean, how accurate were their traffic stats back 6 years ago? But gives you a good indication. And if you're going to make a new website all about ice hockey, does it fit to have a piece of content on your website all about fun hockey facts? 100% it does. So this is one where you think, yeah, this makes sense. I want to keep this. I want to create a new piece of content on my new hockey website all about fun hockey facts. The next one down talks about the difference in minor hockey levels, kind of like the difference between the different leagues, I think. Are you going to have a piece of content on your new website talking about hockey leagues and hockey levels? Potentially, probably. If so, then this makes sense. If you're on the edge and you see that you used to have a piece of content, you used to drive traffic, all right, we're going to include that in the plan now then. There are sometimes, though, things like these, which I've highlighted here, which you kind of think, oh, I don't actually know if you want them or not. They are relevant, but would you want them? So in this case, it's Halloween carving patterns, hockey pumpkin carving patterns. They are relevant. They do belong on a hockey website. Would you want something that's seasonal only one time a year on the website, though? I don't know. Depends on what your kind of plan for the website is, but you might want to think twice about including them. And then say with this one talks about keeping your family organized with a personal day planner. This is talking about like all the different hockey tournaments and training and schedules families have. That could work. You could have a piece of content on that, but you just need to figure out, does it fit in with the overall content strategy that you're planning for? And it may be the case that it might not straight away, it might not be upfront. You might be doing everything about hockey training and having a piece on personalized day planner to make sure you schedule your games and stuff correctly. Might not fit now, but further on down the line, you might add another category to the website, and this might fit in. So you can always come back and revisit this and have a look and see what needs to be set up from there.
Cool.
Pro tip on this one as well, you can use this report to influence your keyword research as well. So just looking at this bottom one here, it's called Custom Helmet Painting Business, a perfect fit for hockey dads. Talks about, obviously, painting hockey helmets. Doing traditional keyword research probably would take you a long time. You might never even uncover hockey helmet paint as a topic. Like, it's not something that instantly springs to mind when you think about hockey website. But literally just a little bit of quick digging around there, and you've got, can you paint a hockey helmet? Can you change the color of a hockey helmet? Can you paint a goalie helmet? Can you spray paint a hockey cage? And all kinds of questions and supporting content, or even, these could be FAQs on a piece of content about hockey helmet paint that you could include. So it's also good to go through this, spend some time and go through this kind of report. There's 223 pages to go through here. If this doesn't spring ideas to you about what keyword research you could potentially do and areas you could go off in and categories, then you're doing something wrong, because there's going to be loads of different ideas you can go off from.
Yeah.
Anything else, Mark?
No, I like recreating some pages from H9, just because I think it, for no other reason. Well, obviously there are other reasons, but not another reason you haven't kind of really mentioned is it just kind of gives that can't think of the right word, suffering, like an affiliation with the previous site. So it's more like the site just went offline for a while, rather than you just created a brand new site off an H domain. I think just having recreating some of those existing pages just feels like the right thing to do, and it feels like it's just that the site's been away for a little while and has come back, rather than, and I like doing that. I've just purchased just won another H domain at auction, and it's on one of my it's one of the niches that I'm already in. One of the ones with a case study that I always refer to, or have been referring to recently. Robert Cook sort of got about 300,000 sessions in like sort of 12 months or so. Same niche. So, but rather than redirecting that domain into the current domain, like I think that site only ever had 15 articles. I think 15 to 20 articles ever. So I'm just recreating them all. Like that site is just getting resurrected basically as it was before on the same URLs. And then
are you making a new website then, Mark, on that one, totally separate from your case study website?
Yeah. So the plan is it's not as strong as the first domain. Like, it hasn't got some of the better authority links that the other one had. But I just want to see if the niche being, hopefully the niche is uncompetitive enough that I'll still be able to rank with the new site. And I kind of want to just try and see if I can dominate the SERPs a little bit and get a couple of sites ranking for certain keywords. Plus, I've got all of the history and the knowledge of like which articles are going to generate the most traffic, like in Google Analytics rather than in AHREFs, where it can be completely off the mark. Like on that site in particular, the most popular article is not listed as the most popular article on AHREFs, and it's by far the most popular article, and it's already high ranking. So I'm just taking the 15, 20 articles that I already had on there from the H domain back in a day, recreating those, and I'm going to create like the top 100 articles on my current site or something, and just try and go with that and see what happens. But hopefully we can start ranking twice in the top 10 for a lot of things. So let's see if I can recreate that. Yeah.
How are you? So I'm assuming, because I know you use the tomb raiding. We're going a little bit off track here, but I know you use the tomb raiding method for your first site, the original case study site. So that means that you're going to be recreating this piece of content, but you've already done a better job than the piece you originally tomb raided, right? So how are you going to approach creating the content? Is it just going to be like the same as the current case study site? How are you going to try and make it any better? Or
so I think it depends. It's a mix. So for the ones that I'm ranking first for, in first position for, then I'm just going to try and imitate myself. I'm going to tomb raid myself, and then for ones that I'm not ranking first for, I'm going to still try and look at that, find opportunities for if there's lower DR sites ranking better than I am, then I'm going to look to that, because a lot has changed since I did that first site as well. So like the SERPs have jumbled around, new sites have come into the space. So it's a mix. So if I'm ranking number one, I'll imitate my own post and just have it rewritten by a different writer. And if it's if someone else is outranking me, I'll imitate them basically. And there actually could be some results as well, because if I can manage to then outrank my first site with my new site, then I can go and look to update some of the posts on my existing site, which is already doing really well with some of those pages. So hopefully it should give me some intelligence across the two sites a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, I have to keep us updated on how that goes for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so it'd be a while in the making, but yeah, over the next 6 to 12 months, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Okay, and then the last type of kind of pieces of content that you'd want to look to recreate are maybe there's pages or posts that are hyper relevant to your new project, but they don't have any referring domains, or they don't have any traffic either. So it doesn't meet criteria 1 or 2, but they're relevant to your new project. And if you plan on creating similar content, then you should probably make use of the old URL structure, or at least 301 redirect the old one to the new piece of content, just to maintain like the relevancy. It's already got a history with Google. Like, why wouldn't you? If you're already looking at creating a piece of content on the same topic, then why wouldn't you want to use the power of that old piece, even if it didn't drive any traffic according to AHREFs or doesn't have any referring domains? And again, to do this, we look at AHREFs top page report. So this is another example from 1 Million Skates. This one has no referring domains to it, and it was also had, according to AHREFs in 2016, drove no traffic. But it was basically about in-season training tips, which if you were going to create a website about hockey training or ice hockey training or that kind of thing, you might want a piece of content that talks about in-season training tips. So in this case, you probably will either want to keep the URL the same, as it already has history with Google, or at least 301 redirect this piece into your new piece of content that talks about in-season training tips. When I was going through this as well, it's very hard to visualize like all of these different types. I didn't know how best even to do it, whether just a screenshot like this is the easiest way to kind of get across what I mean. But hopefully this is coming across okay, and everybody understands what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So now that we've kind of identified the 3 different types of pieces of content we want to do something with, we also need to have a little look at the URL structure of those old pieces of content. And these are my official terms, like trademarked, messy, clean, or both. Mm-hmm. So this top one here is an example of what I would call a messy URL structure. It's got the date in there, the domain, the date, and then the post title. That's messy because you wouldn't want to make a new piece of content on your brand new website, which has the date 2016 in the URL. Yeah. You've got clean ones, which is literally the domain / the post title. That's how we set up all of our websites, that permalink structure. So in our eyes, that's clean. And then you've got one which is both, which is essentially, it doesn't have a date in there, but it might have a subcategory. So in this case, it's / inside edge / 11 in-season training tips. So, when you're looking at what pages you want to redirect or do something with, this will influence whether you create the post on the same URL or whether you need to set up a new post and do a redirect. So if it's a clean structure like this one, you're more than, it's very easy to make a new piece on 1 Million Skates called Halloween Carving Patterns, keep the URL structure the same, the permalink structure, and you don't need to set up any redirects. But if you've got a messy or a both style URL structure, you need to set up redirects. And we do that using a plugin. It's literally called Redirection. Like, that's the name of the plugin. It's free. And once you install it, you basically go to add new redirection, and then you've got a couple of options here. And the main ones really you want to look at are source URL, which is the URL for the old piece of content. And then you've got target URL, which is the new URL for the piece of content. And one thing you'll notice here is we don't include the domain. We don't include www. Warning curves ahead. We don't include any www or HTTPS or anything like that. In fact, I totally made a mistake there. We wouldn't include warning curves ahead either.
No. I just noticed that too.
Right. Yeah. So we wouldn't include the domain at all in there. We would cut out anything from the .com. That would be gone. So it would just be / 2016 06 04. And what that does is it kind of sets up like this wildcard redirect, which says it doesn't matter if this was a www warning curves ahead, or if it was a HTTP or HTTPS, it just redirects all of it through to the new target URL. So when you do that, just make sure that you cut off the domain, so the domain name. So it's everything from the domain name / part that needs to be in there. And then you put your target URL. So in this case, we might create the new piece of content called Things Women Over 30 Should Wear. That would be the permalink for the new piece of content, and you would redirect it that way. And then any old traffic that goes there, any old links that are pointing there are now redirected through to your new piece of content that's now on a clean permalink structure. Same here, and I've done the same mistake. We shouldn't have 1millionskates.com there. It should literally just be from / inside edge. And this is one where we've got the / category / post. We would literally just want the / post title here as well. And it's really simple as that. Like the redirection plugin is fairly straightforward. You can go in and you can group them together if you want and stuff. But in its most basic form, this is literally all you have to do is go in and set up the redirects individually like this. If you've got a ton of them to do, because this can be a little bit time consuming sometimes, if you've got a lot of redirects to do, the plugin also allows you to import the CSV. So you can do old URL in column A and new URL in column B, and then just upload the CSV and just bulk import them as well. Or the other thing you can do is you can also use a custom permalink plugin. So on our both one where we've got / inside edge / the post name, if for some reason you decided you wanted to keep the URL exactly the same with the inside edge, but you didn't want to create a category on WordPress called / inside edge and set up your permalink structure to be / category, because that will affect the whole site, you can install a custom permalink plugin, which basically allows you to go into an individual post and set the custom permalink exactly like this. So you could set it up as / inside edge / 11 in-season training tips. And you can do that on a post or page-by-page basis. We don't typically tend to do this at all, really. We would rather redirect it in like this. But there are some, I see people talking about setting up the permalink exactly the same. So you can do it with the use of the permalink plugin. Yeah. And that's it basically on this, apart from the one part that I forgot, because we talked about restoring pages from an old domain. All this is kind of manual. All this is going through, looking, identifying, creating new content, setting redirects. There are services out there which will allow you to literally take the whole website as a whole from the way it used to be and then just restore it, typically as a HTML website. I see people doing this and talking about this in Facebook groups and things like that. I see people talking about doing it in the short term. If they've decided that they've got this age domain, they're not going to do anything with it for 6 months or 12 months, but they don't want it sitting there. So they'll resurrect the old website and put it live, and then they'll come back to it at some point. Now, we're not lawyers, we're not copyright experts or whatever, but I do know that all that old content that you now have on your website is all copyrighted because it belonged to the old owner. So you use this at your own peril. You could get into some trouble and find yourself with some copyright issues or copyright notices, or even just maybe blacklisting the domain by doing this. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that, but there are services out there, and I just have a little look, and one of them is called Archivarix, ARCHIVARIX. That's I've never really used it before. I don't know if you've ever used it or considered it.
You looked at it, before. It's called, was it Archive? Isn't it Archivix rather than Archivix or something? Archivix or
you know my pronunciation is called. Pop it in the chat. There we go.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Archivarix. Oh, yeah, Archivarix. Yeah. Still a bit strange. Cool. Excellent. Thank you for that, Adam. We have a few questions. Before we do move on to that, got 23 likes so far. So we're 12 short of the 35 for the merch. So if you haven't liked already, get liking. Tell a friend. Also, one thing that I forgot to mention at the start of the show, which I will not forget in the future because I've added a note to remember it, is our Building Empires event we should have mentioned. So we've got an online event running between the 7th and 9th of June. be sure to sign up to that. It's a free event. It's free to sign up for. It's starting in 28 days. 48 days. So be sure to grab it. We've got some great speakers: Miles Beckler, Greg Campbell, Sarah Clow, Alex Cooper. I don't feel like I can miss anybody now, like Ricky Kessler. But anyway, you can see you've got Empire Flippers, we've got Doug, Jared, me and Adam, unfortunately. And then this speaker to be announced is Otis, but we just don't know who Otis are going to send right now. So that'll be Otis doing a talk as well. So grab your spot. You'll get emails nearer the time. Like letting you know kind of when sessions are starting and things like that. So as I say, yeah, it's free to register. Just jump to the register page and jump in here. Cool. So I'll tell you some of the questions then.
Yes.
He says, oh yeah, pinned. There you go. So congratulations on the 2K. Thank you, Adrian. Pretty pleased about that. Yeah, thanks, Leanne. Like, excuse for messing up. I already messed up the transition once because like I didn't do it at the start, did I? Completely didn't do one. So yes, I will mess it up, but it's got nothing to do with me being ill.
It wouldn't be a live stream if you didn't mess up the transition. Though, so.
Our couch got their mug. So is Richard. Everyone loving it. And Daniel. Everyone's got their mugs. Like a t-shirts, but we've got mugs. Restoring pages from an H domain or expired domain. It applies to both, essentially. And people, it's generally interchangeable how people use those terms, but it doesn't matter. You can use it on both.
Yeah.
What tools do you use to scrape the old site? Well, go ahead, Adam.
Yes, AHREFs essentially to have a look at which page had the most referring domains going to them. Also, you can have a look in there of the page that you see get traffic. Sometimes though, AHREFs doesn't pick up everything, and if you wanted to have a good look at exactly everything that's on there, just go to archive.org way back and then click on I think it's the structure. Once you put the URL and click on like structure or something, and then it shows you literally the little structure of all of the pieces of content on there. You can download that as an Excel and you can go through there and see all of the old URLs if you wanted to. You just don't have the AHREFs data to say this one has a link pointing to it or this one used to get traffic, but at least you've got a list of all the URLs as well.
Yeah. And that archive RX, whatever it's called as well, does that too. So if you really wanted to. Maeve, how close to the niche does it have to be to 301 in? E.g., say I had a gardening site and some posts about growing trees, then found an H domain about forests. Close enough? I think it depends really. You'd have to take a close look at each domain. I mean, that's a difficult one. About forests could be anything. It could be about deforestation, which might not be such a good fit. But if it's about forests and the trees that exist within forests, and you're talking about growing trees, then maybe that's a better fit. I think it's on a case-by-case basis. It depends really on what reference the forests are there. But I wouldn't go unless you get. Yeah, I wouldn't go to the deforestation one for the deforestation one in that example. But if it's about the varieties of trees in different forests around the world, for example, then maybe. Anything to add on that, Adam? Similar?
No, spot on. Yeah.
Okay. At the start of the presentation, when you were reviewing how many links the site had, there were a couple of 301 showing.
I don't remember seeing that. Was it so? In here, nothing in here.
I think it's another 301s there.
Yeah. Right. So what those mean, Michael, basically are AHREFs is saying that this has been moved permanently, obviously 301 redirected, but you'll find this report sometimes can be a bit messy. This 301 redirect essentially is saying that it went from being HTTP to HTTPS, and you can see it's got the little padlock symbol there. So it went from being unsecured to secured, but the URL stayed the same. And same for the one below it as well. It went from having a www warning curves ahead to a non-www. Take that with a pinch of salt, essentially, because in this report, you're always going to find duplicates. For example, you've got number 2 is the homepage, and number 3 is also the homepage. It's just that one was with non-HTTPS and one was with HTTPS. you don't need to worry about that. If you set up your SSL certificate correctly, so all of your HTTP URLs redirect to your HTTPS URLs, and if you've set the site up to be non-www, all of your www pages redirect to your non-www. You don't have to worry about any of this. Like, you don't even have to take it into consideration. You just have to say, there's one page, there's one piece of content. What am I going to do with it? If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we just avoid that legality. We just don't recreate paid articles word for word. We'll recreate the article and get it rewritten, but we won't do it word for word. I bet it looks good. Thank you, ninjas. Adrian, am I wrong in saying an expired domain is drop one and an aged one is not? Yeah. Like, people have different ideas of what this exactly means, but yeah, essentially, an expired domain is one that's literally expired, and therefore there's no and then someone's re-registered it, or he picked it up at auction. Aged one tends to be one that's not, but people, like I say, people use it for interchangeably. So
I think the important thing there is that we've used both, and they both work the same. So, like, that's the important thing. Is it's almost just like language nuance. They both do the same thing.
Yeah, you definitely do hear people saying it's bad if it's an expired domain, which we haven't found out of all of the domains we've done. What we do tend to find is that if it's one that's has been a site quite recently, then it not always, not 100% of the time, but most often it'll pick up quicker than one that, or it's more likely to pick up quicker. Not always guaranteed, but it's more likely to pick up quicker if it's a domain that's just recently expired or recently had a site on it, essentially.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. There's no common rule really about that. This is a good one, Adam, for you. Is there an instance when redirecting to the homepage is a good idea?
I don't know is the honest answer, but my gut says no. Like, I think we've talked about this quite extensively before, is that whenever we do a 301 redirect, or it's essentially your business acquiring another business, and you want to make it look as natural as possible. There definitely probably are businesses out there which acquire another business and just redirect to the homepage and just swallow up the brand, but I imagine most of them wouldn't do that. They would put out some press, they would create this acquisition page, etc. We found some examples of other websites on our acquisition page live stream a couple of weeks back, where we can see other business literally don't do or haven't done that. They've set up an acquisition page and done it. It's definitely more work and time and effort involved than redirecting to the homepage, but I think it's well worth the effort. So no, I think is my answer. The long answer is, if you can help it, I would always recommend doing it the acquisition page way rather than just the homepage.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So let's jump on to the H domain that we're going to review from our inventory. So this one is called Coriander Queen. It's available on our site. Generally covered kind of recipes and cooking, things like that. About 7 years old. Currently has 93 referring domains. Currently at DR12. As you see, that it used to be a high DR in the past, but it's it's sort of lowered over time. But we've got an example site here, which only a DR16, which is pretty similar in terms of DR, in terms of authority. It's getting about 199,000 sessions, traffic a month. So let me share my screen. I'll take you through what we've got for this one. Okay, here we go. So this is Wayback Machine, if you're not familiar with it. So this kind of shows you how the site used to look in the past. We tend to go through a whole bunch of the pages on the site that existed in the past. Plus, we kind of open up a bunch of different, multiple times in each year. So each line here signifies a year. So we open up multiple pages just to see what's happened and over time with this website. Has it changed much? Has it changed hands? Has the design changed? That kind of thing. I saved you the boredom of kind of going through, because it pretty much hasn't changed. The only thing that changed really was kind of the logo that kind of changed over time, and a little bit kind of over in the sidebar here. And that one's kind of stopped working. That was kind of there. I think this one was just kind of redirecting loads. I think just kept bouncing back in circles. Yeah. So yeah, not a lot has changed kind of over time. To say it's DR13 currently, used to be as high as a DR25. If you take a look at organic search, not huge amounts of traffic in the past, but a significant enough amount of traffic, around 3,000 at its kind of peak. So, did have some favor with Google, during its lifetime. One thing that we always check as well is kind of the anchor text. We want to make sure that kind of it's mostly kind of branded anchors. You'll see with a lot of recipe sites that you end up with a lot of recipe kind of ones in here. So you can see we've got coriander queen here, we've got coriander queen here, down here as well. So we've got a decent amount of branded anchors. We've got Isabella, which is the name of the lady who used to run the blog. I noticed that she's got Isabella King and Isabella Sewell here, so I don't know if that one's her maiden name or one's a real name, but we've got a couple of names there. Generally, what we do if we see this kind of thing is that for any persona that we create on the new blog as well, we'll use Isabella as the person's name on the site kind of going forward, so we kind of maintain some continuity there. I don't think we'd go as far as surnames, but we would use their first names, so we've got some continuity on that. So a lot of the anchor text there is all recipe based. There's nothing in there that you kind of wouldn't want to see that looks ugly. As we mentioned in the past, no sort of gambling anchors or payday loans or anything like that. It's all kind of stuff you would expect for this kind of site. If we go to the best pages by incoming links, you can see number of pages here have kind of a bunch of links to them. We tend to stop at around 5. Well, we look to recreate a lot of these pages, but we tend to stop at around 5 links. So the ones we've got here is the homepage, obviously, and then we've got crispy fried halloumi recipe, we've got lemon curd cupcake recipe, chicken ramen soup, and ginger mocktail recipe, and then
in this case, we will probably go further as well, because this makes sense to keep going further. They're all recipes, and we're going to probably create some kind of recipe type site in there. Yeah,
so there's a whole bunch in there. I mean, there's as we'll come to in a second. There's recipes can be a challenge for us, so we don't always head down that route. We try to avoid that route. I'll mention that a little bit more in a moment. But yeah, we can kind of end up kind of going ahead and kind of recreating some of these recipes. We've got a bunch that just have a few rather than so there's a bunch down there. In terms of referring domains, got lots of nice relevant referring domains like Fussy Eater, Wide Open Eats, Joe Cooks, Kitchen Sanctuary, Cake Blog, Lavender and Lovage. I don't know if that's one. Baramag, The Witching Kitchen. So there's a whole load of kind of really good kind of relevant domains, referring domains there. Decent DRs as well to go along with it. Taking a look at the keywords historically and what keywords were ranking. So this is you can see this is kind of last updated in 2016, so quite some time ago. But you can see that this article was kind of getting some traffic, so we might want to look to recreate this one. Cider apple and sausage casserole recipe. We've got fried sprats, little fish, candied orange slices. So again, these kind of had some decent volume, and we were getting some traffic from those. So this is going into the keywords report in AHREFs, can kind of give you an idea of like historic traffic for some of the keywords that it was ranking for.
Well, it's decent as well, because it's like Sprat's recipe was position number 3 and with 1,600 searches a month, right?
Yep. I don't know if this, I guess this volume is, I'll have to check it actually. I'm not sure if this volume is today's volume or the volume back then. I'm not sure actually.
I think it's today's.
I think that would be today's. So whatever that was in the past, who knows? But I wonder if this traffic would be what it would be expected to get today as well. I don't know. Something to dig into. But anyway, we can you can kind of see, you can cherry pick some of these articles here that have traffic in the past to kind of recreate as well. I did a quick check for this is something. If you've not seen one of our first streams on Age Domain Tuesday, was about how we do due diligence on domains. One of them is to check for trademarks. So I did a check for Coriander Queen, and it came up with the matches. So we're pretty clear there. I mean, you do kind of more than just that. I mean, we would try and probably do it without the space and things like that as well. Expired. You get the idea.
Yeah.
So here's some example sites that we feel like we would be able to kind of like imitate and take some good learnings from. Using our kind of tomb raiding technique to identify the articles that we could kind of go after. So this site, which is microwavemillprep.com, currently getting, this is the one I mentioned at the start, around 199,000 in organic traffic a month. It's a DR16, so not much different to what we're working with, which is like a DR12. It's getting some decent traffic levels. If I take a look at the number of pages on this site, there's only 420 pages, which isn't a huge amount considering the traffic levels we get. I'll just go on to this is the page on our site where you can go ahead and like purchase the domain if you're interested. But we kind of did a little bit of math here as well. And for this domain, it's got 407 pages, but about 67% of the traffic comes from just the top 43. So using our kind of tomb raiding method, we would kind of identify that and kind of go after those ones that are getting the best traffic. Take a look at this one as well, substitutecooking.com. This is getting around 220 a month. I'll go back to the top pages in a moment, actually. This one has a few more pages, so 756 pages. Again, it's getting kind of decent traffic. If we take a look at the kind of articles that they're ranking for, it's like how to this is the DR16 one, how to microwave hot pockets. Defrost ground beef in the microwave. These are like huge. They're quite big traffic numbers, and this site, being only a DR16, is managing to rank quite comfortably for this. So we would definitely look to kind of try and imitate this domain with some of these articles. And the same for the second one, substitute cooking. We've got substitutes. This one's all about substitutes, as it suggests. Substitutes for cocoa powder, corn flour substitutes, maple syrup substitutes, what to eat with mashed potatoes, what to eat with cornbread. Yeah, so you get the idea. There's a whole bunch more kind of articles here that we can kind of really go after. Again, because this one is only a DR20, so it is higher than the one we're working with, but not a lot really in the scheme of things. Those type of articles are good to go after. Another site that's worth mentioning is insanelygoodrecipes.com. So this one is a very high DR domain, but I think it's in its 50s. But we tend to avoid working with creating posts that are recipes because essentially if we're going to try and imitate a recipe that's doing well on another site, we end up, well, what did we do? Like we end up with like the same ingredients, the same instructions for creating that recipe. It's not very kind of unique. So it's hard for us to do a good job. And what you'll find with any of the good cooking blogs is that they have their own photographs as well as part of the cooking process. And they'll just do a much better job than we would be able to by, given the fact that we're not going to be cooking the recipes and taking photographs of them. So what we tend to do, this is an example of someone that does something slightly different, but achieves, fantastic results, is they essentially do roundup reviews of recipes. So this is the 30 best crock pot recipes, and it'll talk about the recipes and then kind of link off to that recipe. So this is the number one article according to AHREFs on this site that gets 100,000 in traffic a month. So there's a few other ones here: 30 best Super Bowl snacks, 32 easy desserts to make at home. So you get the idea. Like none of these are actually recipes; they're just other people's recipes that they've taken and used as kind of a roundup review, and they kind of get great results. So if we do go down the recipe route, we tend to go down the roundup route rather than creating our own recipes. but along, there's also plenty of traffic to after, avoiding recipes altogether, or plenty of articles to go after. If we take a look at these 2 examples, and actually I could have we had loads of examples of sites that we could have used for this. Here's just 2 of them, but there were like a whole host of them that we had found through our research process that if we were to go ahead and kind of buy this domain, then we would be able to work with, and we wouldn't be short of articles, put it that way.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add on that, Adam?
Nope. I think that's good.
So yeah, it looks like a good domain. And these teardowns have been pretty popular in terms of domains. So going forward, we might do a couple of domains per episode, if we can fit them in, because we're running out of time. We've got 5 minutes left for today's show. So depends how long the first part is, I guess. So go ahead.
Question.
Oh, before you do that, get liking, because we've only got 27. Unless we get 8 more, there's no merch for today. So get liking the video, and we'll do the merch draw in a minute, hopefully.
Cool. So, a question from Leanne: does using the same name have any implications with the previous owner? And I think the answer is no. We're not going to be using first and surname. We're just going to be using the first name. And then, with all the sites that we build, we make the persona from scratch, and we get an image from this person does not exist. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that the domain expired and then another Isabella, in this case, bought the domain and made a website on it. So no, I can't see why there would be. It's just like saying there's another blog down the road with who uses the name Adam. Is there any implications there? I don't think that would be any issues.
Yeah.
And then one from Chris: if the page has fewer than 5 links, but one of those links is an impossible link, it would then be worth the time to recreate, right? I think what Chris means by an impossible link, it might be, like the New York Times or the BBC, for example. And in that case, then yeah, 100%, you would definitely be worth the time to recreate, even if that one page, even if it only has 1 link, for example, but it's the BBC, then it's worth looking at.
That's a good point, really. It's on link value, really. It should be on the, rather than the volume, it should be on quality.
Yeah.
That we're looking at there, yeah. But yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. How are we looking on
28 still. Disappointed.
Not good.
Are we going to say no to merch? Or I know what we do. Let's put the music on. You get the music on. I'll show the merch.
Yeah.
This is what always pumps it up when people get to see the merch. So yeah, so you can get t-shirts, multiple different colors here you can work with. A couple of different designs. So we've got the full logo, we've got the partial logo. Adam and I are not demonstrating them today. And we've got the mugs. The logo's now on both sides. So whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you're good to go. And the caps, of course. We still haven't seen people in their caps, have we?
No.
People in their caps and their t-shirts. What I'll do then, whilst we're waiting for that to come in, also get typing into the chat if you want to be part of the draw. Assuming we're going to get to 35, if you want to be part of the draw, start typing something in the chat, because if you don't type something in the chat, then we're probably not going to get into the draw, because that's just the way YouTube works. So if you want to be entered, even if it's just to say hello, type something in the chat now, and we'll put you into the draw. In terms of tomorrow's show and the other shows this week, so we have the Niche Lifestyle show over on WP Eagle Alex Cooper's channel. The key skills a niche site owner needs is the topic for tomorrow. So tune into that. Should be a good show. Alex is a good host. He's pretty slick compared to us. So you'll enjoy that. And then our show this week is building your keyword list with Tomb Raiding SEO. That's Thursday's show, the website investing show. That's our own kind of technique we use for identifying good keywords to go after, basically. So,
and I think also we have a member who is usually in the channel, and I'm not going to say 100% sure until I get his permission, but I think he's good with us making a 2 million plan for his website and then sharing it. He doesn't mind us sharing the niche or anything like that. So we'll literally go through a full plan as well. Yes.
One last thing, we forgot to do the Daniel's.
We did.
Daniel, so sorry you took all the time to. So could you take us through the process to decide whether age domain is good or not? So, like I mentioned, one of the first episodes is our due diligence on an age domain. If you take a look back in the archive on our YouTube channel, you'll find that episode. It's one of the first episodes for Age Domain Tuesdays, where we go through that. But we can take a look at this bestpaintsprayerguide.com. We'll have a quick look. Maybe we could do it next week if we don't really get the time today. But we'll just take 5 minutes now, shall we, to take a look?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it all up right now and have a little look.
Awesome. So Daniel says it is a domain of rating of 16, which has just under 4,000 backlinks. That is a lot of backlinks for a DR16. Depends on the referring domains more than the number of backlinks, though. Really.
Right. Let me share my screen.
Do it.
Cool. So here it is. Pull this up. There we go. So, I mean, I'm not sure if I've got the right URL here, because this only says it has 167 referring domain backlinks. So did I type that in right, Mark? How do I?
Bestpaintsprayerguide.com. Try it with www. Sometimes it comes up different with those. Although he didn't put www in his. No, that was dead. So don't worry about that.
I'm assuming this. I'm only assuming it's this one. And the first thing I would look at is just like the URL name itself, bestpaintsprayerguide.com, like really pigeoned into paint sprayers, and it's almost like a partial match. Best paint sprayer, like is the keyword, and then you just have a guide on the end, so partial match domain. So that would be instantly a turn off for me. It's like I wouldn't be interested in that kind of domain.
It's an immediate red flag at that point, yeah.
Yeah. And then it hasn't really been around for a long time. It's only been around since kind of for the last 2 years. And while technically it is an aged or an expired domain, then it's not really, the ones we see typically go back 10, 15 years essentially. So that's the first thing to look at. Quickly look at the anchor text. And while it does have best paint sprayer guide and best paint sprayer guide, we've also got these really weird anchor texts which look like they've built backlinks. Probably you wouldn't get a website linking. It's too similar. You wouldn't get a natural website to link to with that, and then another one linking with the exact same kind of text. So
yeah,
probably done some kind of link building to. Well, interestingly, what we're coming along with, it was only a one-page website. They've done all this link building to one page. And then if we have a look, it wasn't a one-page website, but only one page was essentially ranking. So if we look at the organic traffic, why is that not loading? There we go. So if we look at the organic traffic here, like if we take December 2021 or January 2022, when it was kind of at its peak, according to this, there was only one page ranking, which was the homepage. There was no other pages ranking, and it was only ranking for a couple of keywords. And if we have a look at the best pages by links, I think they did only have. No, maybe they didn't only have one page. They had another page here, another page here, and another page here. But essentially, to me, this kind of screams like someone doing a bad job of making an affiliate type website and then abandoning the project and then leaving the domain expire. Like, what you don't want to pick up is someone's abandoned failed project, which this feels like.
Everything about it is dirty, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, this is what it used to look like. So it's definitely an affiliate type website. Maybe a five or six page website that just had best of guides. Definitely done some link building to those specific pages, even if it was just one link, and the site never really took off. Like it never really got anywhere. So no, this is an example of probably a poor expired domain or poor age domain.
Yes. What was the referring domains again?
Oh yeah. So referring domains, you've got bestproductlist.com, and then you've got just the spam ones there, the scraper, keyword basket, foam,
and like the blogspot stuff. Yeah, and there's nothing of value in really that backlink profile either.
No.
So avoid.
Yeah, like the plague, essentially.
All right, cool. We've got to 31. I think that's enough.
Yes, Michael, we are going to the affiliate gathering. We will be we'll be there. I think we've got a little stall thing as well, so we'll be there all day. Come and say hi and be interested to meet everyone. And also we'll go into the fringe events the night before as well, I think, or a couple of them. So we'll be around at those events too.
Okay, I've missed everybody that typed into the chat. So type again in the chat.
Ah, Mark, no.
Type again in the chat. We've only got a few people, otherwise we've got like 3 people. So type again in the chat if you want to be in the merch draw, and I'll do that in the next couple of minutes.
So Bill asks, why do AHREFs and MORs give different DA scores? Are their algorithms so far apart, assuming they use different ones? I think MORs is DA and AHREFs is DR. So they've got domain authority and AHREFs is domain rating. And really, we talk about third-party metrics all the time. Their own kind of take on, I think AHREF's DR score is the strength of the backlink profile based on referring domains. I'm not 100% sure what MOR's DA is, but it must be something similar. But yeah, they basically use different algorithms to try and figure out how powerful the referring domains are to each website, and that's what the difference is.
Interestingly, I think, unless it's changed, but AHREFs only ever use the backlink profile to calculate their DR rating and no other factors, because they tried to add in other factors and they found it became less accurate. So they only ever use, there's an article about how they calculate it on their blog. So it's quite interesting that they only use, but we found it probably is the more accurate of any of them.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've got a bunch of people now ready for entry. Put the music on.
Music back on.
I'll get the transition perfectly lined up, as you know. Okay, here we go. Are we ready for the draw? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Whoa, what was that? What was that?
I pressed the wrong button three different times. Right, we go. Do the draw.
Maybe we need to swap who does the transition, because your fingers clearly aren't quick enough.
Maybe you do. Here we go. Got 32 likes in the end at the moment, so not far short.
It is going to be our couch, and they basically said earlier, we're in for more merch. They want a t-shirt next to go with their mug.
Well, there you go. T-shirt on its way. You know the score then. Head over to the Niche Website Builder's website, go to the chat or the contact form. Oh, hang on. Go to the chat or the contact form, and yeah, we must get a t-shirt sent over to you.
Yeah, let us know what colour you want and what size.
Yes. Yeah, we'll send over the details. Maeve says it's a fix. Oh, I managed to avoid sneezing the whole time. That's it now. Right. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoyed the show. And well, yeah, we'll catch you tomorrow over on WP Eagles channel.
Have a good evening, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah, bye-bye.